Debbie, there was I'm going to ask you to step out of your role perhaps a little bit here, but it is relevant in many ways probably. There was a case a couple weeks ago, I'm sure you're very familiar with it, down in Texas, the E6 cattle ranch, where some abuses or alleged abuses were documented, filmed by Mercy for Animals, an animal protection organization. And that facility, as I understand it, I did interview Kurt Espenson, the owner of it, and as I understand it from him as well as the district attorney, that's a type of facility where dairy calves are raised, and at his facility, I got various numbers, maybe 10,000, maybe 22,000, but in any case, typically at those types of facilities, the numbers are quite large. And there's been comment about the fact that there were, at best, on a good day, 75 workers for that many animals. So it seems like, at least looking at it from an outsider's completely ignorant viewpoint, completely inexperienced, it seems like there is a big difference between your kind of truly family-operated run farm and Mr. Espenson's, although his is a family farm also technically, but the numbers are so much bigger. And I think those types of numbers raise questions in people's minds.
Honestly, I have to be very candid. I am not familiar with that kind of an operation. A beef cattle operation is very different, and we don't take the calves away from their moms. We may hire help, but we don't need the numbers the same kind of way. We have all of my help is my family, and we all work together. If there's a job to be done, it may take 12 hours in a day and a lot of hard labor in the dirt and mud, but we're out there as a family working together. Anytime I see those kind of videos, honestly, I couldn't watch but more than a few seconds of that one. It just made me physically sick and just really broke my heart. So those kind of people need to be prosecuted, and I just can't stand behind that kind of abuse. But I really have never seen that kind of abuse. That doesn't happen very frequently, and certainly never happens on our place.
And also you mentioned that at your type of farm, in the beef industry, I guess you would say, and pardon me, I'm probably using all the wrong terms.
No, you're doing fine.
Okay. That you mentioned that calves do stay with their mothers. So again, with Mother's Day coming up, can you kind of describe the life of a mom and her calf?
Well, it's really pretty special. A mama cow will have her calf usually in the spring in Kansas, and she then will spend most of her summer out on grass. About that time, when the calf is approximately 6 or 7 months old, they will begin cutting down on milk production and starting to wean their calf themselves. Then we, at that time, will wean the calves and start growing them. Either they will go into a breeding program themselves, so they'll keep growing and encouraging, or we will select the ones that will end up in a feed yard. And then at that time, we will continue to help them grow and then, move them on into that different program. But a mama cow really is a neat organism. She loves her calf and spends a lot of time licking her calf and calling to it. Did you know that in a pasture, often there will be 1 or 2 cows left with a bunch of calves laying in an area? We call them a babysitter cow. I'll walk into the pasture or drive into the pasture, and often there'll be 20 or 30 calves laying with 1 or 2 cows watching over them. The other cows will all be grazing, and it just makes me feel like that's a babysitter watching over everything and seeing what's going on for the day. So, cows really do connect with their calf and spend a lot of time taking care of them. So it's a beautiful relationship.
Now, again, pardon my ignorance, you mentioned the feed yard. What's the feed yard?
We do feed out a certain amount of our steer calves, and they do go to 100 days of grain fed. It's for the most part anymore, though not 100% grain, because we can't afford it. The price of corn is so high these days. Specifically, ethanol has taken a lot of our corn supply, so we use then the byproduct from ethanol. It's called a distiller miller's grain or a dried product that mixes into the ration, it still provides quite a bit of the same feed value, but just not quite the same amount of energy. So we do have to still supplement energy. In addition, they still eat hay. They do get a silage product, which is a fermented hay product, and so they're allowed to eat as much as they want, whenever they want. The feed is always accessible. So is fresh water, always accessible in a feed yard, and space for the calf to walk around and exercise. But as far as spending time in a feed yard, we do watch them very closely, and I travel to the feed yard frequently just to check on my cattle and make sure they're doing well.
Because then after the feed yard time, then you sell them, then that's when they're sold for beef?
Correct. And our goal is for our cattle to be the highest quality, and that is certified Angus beef. We raise Angus cattle, and certified Angus beef is the absolute highest in carcass quality and is sold in specially licensed restaurants and grocery stores.
Okay. So, and about what age is that they go? I guess the term is to slaughter? Or
That's right. They do go to slaughter, and it is actually a process where they are very humanely treated. They are not stressed at all. They take very good care of them as far as on the truck. There are specific requirements for truckers to take care of the cattle and rest them, and certain amounts that they have to spend time, whether they need to rest or unload. And then in the feed yard, in the slaughter plant, they are well cared for in the pens as well until they are walked up to slaughter. The cattle are not afraid. They don't know what's happening. They do not call and moo. That's actually a sign of fear or of stress, and that's measured. How many times an animal who is walking up the ramp moos is measured, and if they moo more, then they're afraid, and that's not what we want. We want them to be happy and comfortable. And then ultimately they are slaughtered for our consumption. So it is an important part of the food chain and an important part of what I do. But it matters to me that we treat them with respect, that we take care of those cattle in such a way that they are respected and appreciated for what they do for us.
Debbie, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today.
I've enjoyed it. Please check out my blog.